All right, welcome back to Getting Back to Business. So this is the last of 4 episode series on Getting Back to Business with myself, Natalie Plamondon-Thomas, and Ravi Tangri. Good morning, Ravi.
Good morning. Glad to be with you. Whoop. Have you frozen? We have, well, folks, while we're getting, oh, there you are. You're back.
Oh, I'm back.
You'd frozen for a second.
I wasn't cold.
All right, ma'am.
So, what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about different ways we sabotage ourselves. And what should we start with? There's so many.
Well, and the key is we're looking at how do we diffuse those, right?
Yeah,
So that I'm just looking to set up a watch party here while we're going. Yeah,
perfect.
not just how we sabotage ourselves, but how do we diffuse it as we go forward?
Exactly. Because it's important that when um, we are following our own limiting beliefs, sometimes we realize that there are some obstacles that are outside of our control, and sometimes there's a pandemic that happens that we have no
Really?
control of. But sometimes there are some things that we do have control of, and it's how we think. It's what's in our head. And very often we realize that the problems that we have are not necessarily outside of our control. There's a lot that we can control, and there's a lot of ways we can adapt to the outside challenges or the perceived outside challenges, because sometimes they're not even there. We're making them up, right?
Do you think we make all that up?
Very often. And
Yeah, and that's a thing that we actually have way more in our control than we actually think we do. And that's what we want to get to here is how much more we can actually do now than we actually realized we could.
yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the internal limiting beliefs maybe that could be in the way? So maybe we start with um, our own worth, our own value, the way we value ourselves. Very,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, because I think this is something there's so many people that undervalue themselves, that are afraid of charging what they're worth. We're afraid to put the price out there that we really want because we don't know that people would pay. We don't think we're worth that.
Exactly. We're also afraid not only of putting it out there, is that because it's normal for us, it's easy for us, it's a skill that we have, or it's something that we master, that we feel that it has no value. We feel that, well, it's easy. Like, why would I charge for me to help people just to do something that I've learned myself? And I'm just going to get on the phone with them and give them advice just for free. Well,
Right.
all the sweat that you've been through and all the time you spent learning it is your intellectual property. And it's okay to charge people for that because they're willing to pay to save time, to make sure that we have the same we give them a chance. It's like a fast forward. Like if I teach something that I've learned in the past 3 years to somebody, I'm saving them 3 years, right? So one of our viewers, Siobhan, is with us, and she said, what will be a challenge for me will be to list a price for myself, because she's saying that maybe she has a limiting belief already about trying to figure out what could be my price. So
Yeah. And that's very, very common. Thank you for sharing that because there's a lot of people. It's not back to that thing. If it's easy for us, we go, well, this is nothing. But we, as Natalie said, we have not put into account how many years it took to do that. For example, Natalie, you mentioned that when COVID hit, you did a lot of learning. You made mistakes, did all this, and you got yourself online very, or to a higher level. You were already online very quickly, and then you suddenly realized that all the stuff you'd learned was valuable to others. So you created a course for that, even though that wasn't your original expertise. You had become an expert in it.
Exactly. And it's the same for you, Siobhan. So what you can do is go online and figure out people that are doing what you do. How much do they charge? And what are people paying for? Because sometimes it's just the way that we will market our message to figure out what are people purchasing. So let's say it's organization. Your message, what would be what would people be willing to pay for? And I did have a problem before because I was mainly selling to persons and I wanted to get into organization because organization, they must have a sales meeting where they will train their people and you have a message that and you are hilarious because I know Siobhan personally. She's a comedian and she's absolutely
Okay.
amazing. She's an outstanding presenter and there's no dull moment. She has all these characters. She's absolutely stunning. So if you have a chance, go get her, go find her work on YouTube. She's got all these amazing videos and people pay for entertainment. They like entertainment. So if you can tweak your message so that it will create team engagement, so that it will create for people to be able to work together. So instead of presenting yourself as I'll make you laugh, then if you say I'll make your team grow stronger bonds together, people pay for that. Or you're going to say I will improve I will improve maybe um, their performance because they will be able to get to work together much better, improve collaboration, improve. So there's a lot of ways that people would be able to pay for your message and find in which way, and then go online and figure out. Go Google some people that are charging for their performance that are funny. So Google speakers that are funny. Go see how much do they charge, and start pricing yourself in regards to what you see out there, right? So what
Yeah.
could that limiting belief be coming from? So that's one thing that we want to address, because if we have a limiting belief about pricing ourselves, is that before pricing ourselves, we need to know how we are thinking about money. Very often, we all have limiting beliefs about money and about how we value things. I had personally a huge limiting belief about money myself. I was really, really good at making money, but you know what I was much better at? Spending money. I was really good at spending money. So I remember I was making a lot of money as a child. I was like 13 years old, and I was teaching a lot of fitness classes already back then. Small town, they didn't have anybody else, and I was making $20 an hour. That was huge because I was teaching a big troop of 300 dancers, and then I was teaching like 10, 15 classes a week. That's a lot of money for a teenager. I was rich, but I had no time to spend that money because I was working all the time teaching these classes.
Yeah.
So I found a solution. I bought stuff online with the Sears catalog. So every 2 weeks, I would receive my paycheck and I could calculate to the dime how much money I would make so that I could spend it all in the Sears catalog with orders. So I had to change this limiting belief that when you make more money, you spend more money. So you
Right.
always live paycheck to paycheck. Everybody's heard that. Have you heard that before, Ravi? I'm sure.
Totally. And also I should mention too, if it is limiting beliefs there, we actually went through, I think episode two, some very specific strategies if you wanted for dissolving those limiting beliefs, right? And replacing them with something that's a whole lot more empowering
Yeah.
as we go forward. The other thing that to me that this is really critical here is trusting in the difference that you make. Like something that just happened to me recently. You came on, Nathalie, to and appreciate the support. I think it was last week, feels like 6 years ago, the first big online conference that I did, right, with this new
Yes.
platform. And today I showed the platform to some associations that are looking at conferences. And I I know the time that it took to do that. I mean, I'm sure, there were a few technical glitches, but mostly it went pretty smoothly going through it. But I know what it took to go into that, so I could very confidently say to them, buying the platform isn't enough. You need to understand how to produce it, how to facilitate the process to make it smoothly. And I could say that confidently because I've built those skills over the last few weeks. You never saw it. You just came on that afternoon
Yeah.
and things worked, right?
Yeah.
But it was hours. And in order to get all the speakers comfortable, we actually had three technical rehearsals to
Wow.
debug everything and make sure everything works. So you never saw all of that. All you saw was that it worked.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with whatever skill that you have as an entrepreneur or in your business. So whether you own the company or whether you just want to go back to work, there are some ways that you can do this easier, maybe because you will get rid of these limiting beliefs. Maybe we have too much information right now. So I would like to bring this up that we are learning so many new things that it is overwhelming. So there's so many webinars, there's so many different workshops, there's courses and a lot of free stuff right now. So we are over in overload. And I had my to-do list of 50,000 things already to do, and then I go on this webinar, and all of a sudden, my list is 50,000 plus extra 50 things that I have to do from what I've just learned in this webinar. Then I go into another one and I learn another 50. So I'm at 5,100 now. And then it goes on. And we don't take the time to implement. We just learn, learn, learn. And it's fire hose
Anyone else?
motivation. Anyone else? Right? So we need to take the time like before buying another course. I always ask myself, do I deserve this course? Have I already implemented all the things that I've learned in the previous course that I purchased? If not, and not really the things that I learned, because of course I'm not going to implement everything that they teach, but for every time that you are on a webinar, make a list of 2 or 3 things. That's it. 2 or 3 main things that you're like, this is my golden nugget. I'm going to do that. And you put that on your priority list and you get this done. And you're not allowed to go to any other webinar until you've done these 3 things.
Right.
So allow yourself sometimes, and Siobhan agrees with us. She said, oh my God,
Totally.
I agree that the overload of webinars in Zoom, it's ridiculous, right? Like we
Yeah.
go, we learn stuff, and then it makes us panic. Oh my gosh, I need to have a Facebook pixel installed on my website, and I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, I need to download this new thing, and oh, I didn't know that I needed to do that on my YouTube channel, and oh, I need to, and we learn things that we didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
We could still do business without, right?
Well, and the thing is, when you do that, I actually had a conversation with a friend about this earlier this week. Is she was just feeling so bad about all the things she hasn't done and doesn't know, and that's all she was focusing on. I said, stop going to these, stop doing them. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's it's I had to, because this June was, besides that online conference, that I was doing a daily interview on Facebook Live.
Oh,
All of
Junior,
that
right.
took so much, and there's a course, an online course I was taking. I had to just stop doing that. I had to say, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not taking on any more, because I was at capacity. I could not deliver what I needed to
That's right.
without and all it would have done is add more stress. Now that I have a little more breathing room, I'm going back into it, but easing into it more.
Mm. And choose wisely. So maybe you want to say, okay, I'm going to look at my schedule. I need to be working on my business, not in my business, but on my business, at least probably 5, 6, 7 hours a week. So not creating social media posts. This is working in your business and not seeing clients or whatever. It's just so maybe 1 hour a day you want to spend on creating your business. So you've taken a course, you've signed up for something online, you haven't watched the videos yet, or you haven't. So maybe you want to allow yourself to implement some of the learning, some of those 3 things that you get from each course, and say, okay, take these 2 points, and now I'm going to do that. Like, let's say that one of the point was you need to have a good promise statement. Well, have you taken the time to do your promise statement yet? So do that. Take the time to do this. And then if there's another offer that comes to you, ask yourself, okay, what will I get from there? Because maybe the things that are on your to-do list right now are not as good as the one that are in this webinar. Maybe look at where you're at in your business. Is this necessary? Is this where you are right now? Or is this for people who already have 17 online courses recorded and a website running? But if you're at the stage where you're just kind of starting your business, the pre-COVID was just you weren't already new in the area, then maybe you want to focus on tools to get you started as
Yeah.
opposed to go into the advanced stuff. Just get you started. You only need one client to start and get back into business, right?
Well, you talked about having a list of 5,000 things. That's not actually as ludicrous as it sounds. There are people like that. And I think back to the paper days when we had the piles of paper on our desks, right? I had a client in New York who said, I love people that do things in crazy ways. He said every 3 months he took everything on his desk and burned it. He said, if it's important, it'll come back, right?
If it's important, then it will come back.
So, like, take that list, throw it away, because if you haven't done it in the last 3 months, it's obviously not important. Now, here's a really cool thing. If you can bring up the last
Oh,
comment that
yeah,
she made,
absolutely. I
that
love
is
this. I'm so glad
brilliant.
that you're with us, Siobhan, today. That you,
Yeah, thank you
yeah,
for sharing. I think that's absolutely brilliant here. The thing is, what comes to mind for me here? I mean, this is a prime example of how we sabotage ourselves, right? We define failure or success by certain things. If you were to instead create a list of over the last 3 months all the things that you have done, because what you're doing is you're focusing on, I haven't done this, I haven't, not just the things that you have done, all the stuff that you've learned and changed, and build that list, but also add, how would it feel if you made that list and you also added to it the working through the stress, the anxiety, the fear, and even the PTSD of the last 3 months, and being able to cope with what we have gone through, and the fact that you're still moving forward. Put that on the list and tell me if that is a list of failure or success.
yeah. I love your idea, rather the have done list, because we qualify ourselves with what we haven't done yet, and we forget we all have done so much. Like, I remember having a profound sobbing, oh my gosh, what's going to happen when the pandemic started, and I did panic. Like, of course there's a pandemic, are we all going to die? What's going to happen? Like, you go there, you go through your emotion, and you start your loop of emotion, and thankfully I drank my own Kool-Aid and I exited the loop. And but yeah, we don't think of the pandemic the same way we were thinking about it 3 months ago, and we've already changed so much, and my business has changed tremendously in the last 3 months, interestingly enough.
Yeah. But
There's
even
lots that we
business
have
aside,
done. And even business aside, the way I feel, the way I think, the way I trust myself, the way what, what changed the most for me is my ability to say no
yeah,
and to block big chunk of my schedule to say no, I'm not going to take on clients or do anything during that time and that time because I'm going to play cards with my husband
I love
because
it.
I'm pickling this weekend. So I usually work a couple hours on Sunday, I usually work on Saturday, but I'm not working at all this weekend because I'm doing little pickles
Right.
and onion jam. So
But that's, and honestly, just coming through these emotions of this last 3 months, that is a hero's journey that we have to celebrate,
yeah,
right? And really do create a celebration. I mean, the moment you start to think of yourself as a failure, you bring that list out. And it sort of links to I used to take a when I would get cards and letters from people that really appreciated the work that I did, right? I would put them up on the wall next to my desk, and then when it got too much, I started a file. And one of my employees called, she was sort of mocking me. She said, "Oh, that's your I love me wall," right?
I
I
love
went,
me all.
and I
Yeah,
said, "You know what? Yes, it is." So I called the file the I love me file,
I
and
love that.
and whenever I felt down, I just pulled out the I Love Me file and I read the notes for my clients of the difference that I made, and also what I'm saying is add to it. Take a look at what you've done for yourself, for your friends, for your family these last 3 months, and celebrate that. Add that to that list.
I love that. I think I will create the I love me file. I think it's brilliant.
Oh yeah, I mean I've still got it, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's amazing because we all need that. We all need to, like Siobhan says, it will be very affirming.
Hmm.
So yeah, so Siobhan, you've been laid off in the past 3 months because of the pandemic, and you have done so much. So it's going to be really cool to make that list and say, "Oh my gosh, look at everything I've done! Wow, all the beliefs you've changed and all the yeah, it's going to be really really affirming, definitely."
So this gets back to the self-sabotage. Really, it's not out there, it's here.
Yeah.
And what is failure? What do we believe is failure? What do we believe in success?
Yeah, because sometimes the other thing that affects the way we value ourselves in our pricing is the way we see selling. Because there's so many jokes about selling, the salesmen are bad and selling is being pushy. Selling means that we are trying to get people's money, but when they can't afford it. And try to think of your own limiting belief in how you feel when somebody approaches you. If you enter in a store, remember back in the days we used to go into clothing stores, we could try stuff on, back in the days. So, and pretend that you enter a store and somebody comes to you and say, "Let me know if I can help you find anything." And you're like, "Oh, don't bother me." If you react like this, you have a problem with selling because this person is doing their job. And if when they come towards you and they say, "Let me know if I can help you find anything," you say, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for a long sleeve top, like in the like a brown or beige," or and they say, "Yeah, follow me over here." I come in because I'm looking for a black pair of pants. They'll take me to the rack right away because they're there to serve me. They're solving my problem. And that's how I see sales. So I'm not annoyed with people when I go into a store. So if you are annoyed, maybe you have a problem with selling, and more likely you'll have a problem selling your services or your products if you have a problem with selling. You have to see yourself as solving a problem. So take some time to really work on your promise statement. What am I solving? Who am
Yeah.
I helping? And what do I do for them? What's the value that I bring in? So that value, you have the key for them to get this solution. So find what value you're bringing and And there's a price to put on that, and it's perfectly normal because you're not selling, you're solving. You have a
Mhm.
solution. So start seeing this differently.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's like I go back to that thing about the online conferences. When I was meeting with those associations today, I had no problem saying, look, if you want this to work, you need to have experience facilitation and production. Because I know if they just use the platform and go, it will be a disaster for them, right? So the last thing I want is that. I want them to succeed, and I can help them. And the people in the store too. I mean, the ones that I've found are most effective, they don't even ask, can I help you? They ask, they say, so what are you shopping for now? What pieces are you looking for? What look are you playing with now, right? And so they start getting into your problem to try to fix it, as opposed to just an open-ended, that it's being interested in them. So, and it's back to service, as you said, with them.
Absolutely. So find what are the right questions and go online, because when you start typing something in Google, the Google algorithm gives you the end answer as to how many times this has been searched for. So if you finish the sentence for you, if you start a sentence, how do people find confidence or whatever, then you'll see what are the questions that most people type on Google. So see if there's 500,000 people that have this question all the time, that means that there's a lot of people looking for this and you have the answer to that. So what do you have the answer for? Try to find what are the questions that people would have that you have the answer, right? So you want to reframe what you're doing as a solver, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
interesting.
to that question there that you've come, yeah, it's not just what you're solving, but if you weren't there, what would happen to them? What would be the cost?
Yeah,
How are they going to suffer without what you are bringing to the table? And that's the clarity. That's where you get to service.
absolutely. The other thing that and it's great because Siobhan acknowledges that she used to have this limiting belief around sales, and now thinking about solving a problem that they have, that really puts you into a different mindset. So somehow it brings us into the idea that, oh my gosh, I have the key and I will deprive them from that key, like Ravi just said. Oh my gosh, what will happen to them if I wasn't there? Well, maybe they would have a very overwhelming life if Ravi was not there to to put everybody back on track. Or so, what could be potentially the obstacles to going? Well, our theme is getting back to business, so I would like to bring up the potential challenges. There will be lots of challenges. So the more you anticipate what could get in the way, other than yourself as well, you can anticipate how you're going to react and plan ahead some strategies to 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 go around these, as if you had a long day at work and then you're driving home and all of a sudden there's a tree blocking the road. So fine, are you going to turn around and say, "Oh my gosh, well, I guess I'm never going to be able to go home again. I'm just going to find a new house and buy new furniture. I'm never going to see my spouse and my kids. I'm going to really miss them." Oh no, right? Like you would just turn around and find another route, right? You'd take a chainsaw and cut the tree. You would not abandon your family and your home because of a tree in the road. But that's what we're doing with our business. You're building your business. All of a sudden, there's a tree in the road, and you're like, that's not for me. Doesn't matter. This is not how we want to react. And the way you do this is by understanding why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Because if you know why you're doing this, because I'm not talking about your family or your home right now, I'm talking about something a lot more important. I'm talking about you. You only have one life. That's it. And you need that dream that's on the back burner that you keep pushing back, and you're like, oh, I wish I had done this. That thing that comes to your head that you've always wanted to do, it's not going anywhere because that's your purpose. You're supposed to do that. And it's going to creep back into your life until you actually do it. So go do it because it's not going anywhere. And if you see this as your purpose and your reason to breathe, it's not because a tree will come into your road that you will go, nah, doesn't matter. Yes, you matter, right? Nah, well, that's not for me. Well, yes, your life is for you. Like, it's not for nobody else. It is for you. It's just that right now, you have to figure out another route. That's it. This did not work. Or this thing, you'll have to learn how to do this. That's all. Because there's no way you would abandon your house and your family. Why are you abandoning your dreams? That's even more important. So find what challenges could happen. So maybe your spouse is not going to be on board with this. Okay, so have the conversation. There might be a difficult conversation that needs to happen and say, hey, this is really important to me, and I need to do this. Maybe you need to borrow some money in order to launch your business. Is there a cheaper way to do it? Could you start without all buying all this fancy stuff and having a $5,000 website? Is there a way you could do it cheaper? What are the other limiting beliefs or the other challenges that might happen? So maybe you're gonna start your business, and then you're going to try to do a few free webinars, and nobody will come. My first webinar, I had 2 people. And I was taking a whole bunch of time telling them that I needed to mute everybody just because I didn't want them to know that there was only 2. So I thought, if I take longer, they'll think that there are more people. you know,
Love it.
like there's lots of obstacles that could come in the way, and they will come. You're sure of that. There will be obstacles. So just get up in the morning and say, I wonder what I'm going to learn today. I wonder what obstacle I'm going to go through today, because I'm going either way.
I love it. So I mean, and that's the thing is, it's back to, it's as simple as the old adage, right? The obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal, and that's where the self-sabotage can kick in as well. And when you lose sight of the goal and you focus on the tree instead of where you're headed, to find a way over, around, under, through, because it's just another step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you would like to go deeper into this, have a chat with Ravi. So you can go into callravi.com, right?
Hmm. That's
And
right.
and if you want to book a call with me, a free 15-minute virtual coffee, you go to thinkyourself.com/schedule. And we also have, I have a lot of different gifts that you can download at thinkyourself.com/ oh, I'm going to hide this one. And you go to thinkyourself.com/free gifts. And it's somehow not showing.
It is. It was on the ticker.
Oh, it was showing. Okay, perfect. And you can also go to thinkyourself.com/GBB, getting back to business, to watch the previous 3 episodes. So it was a 4 episode series. It was
Yep.
so much fun working with you, Ravi.
Thank you.
Um, Go ahead.
And if I can, if there's, I've got to ask a favor. If there are any entrepreneurs, any business owners there, we are just wrapping this up. I'm doing with a colleague some research on what entrepreneurs need to thrive at to get through this time. Uh, and I am going to type the link into,
The chat.
please, here. If you can go to that link, it's just one question. What do you need to thrive at? Or what do you need to be great at to thrive through these times and beyond? I really appreciate it. We're going to wrap this up next week. So if you could just take a few minutes to go to that, we need your input on this. And it's a really cool platform you'll see when you get there.
Yeah, I did the survey, and it's really nice the way that it's done, and then you get to vote on other people's answers as well. It's really cool. So go do the survey. It takes a couple minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
really nice.
So
So that was our show. Any last word, Ravi?
Well, just thank you, Natalie. Always an absolute delight to play with you on these shows. So it's wonderful. I love connecting with you.
Me too. It's always amazing. All right, so let's get back to our, there you go, little song.